I want you to imagine something right now. Imagine someone walks into a room, and without saying a word, the entire atmosphere shifts. The energy gets heavy, tense. Maybe your stomach tightens. Maybe your thoughts start racing. Maybe your mood drops for no clear reason. That person didn't touch you. They didn't say anything toxic, but their energy, it entered you. It changed you. You absorbed it. You felt it. And now it's in you. That's the power of unprocessed toxic energy, and it's happening all around us all the time. But what if I told you that you don't have to protect yourself from it, avoid it, or fight it? What if you could transmute it instantly into something powerful, grounded, and deeply spiritual? That's exactly what we're going to uncover today. This is not about avoiding negativity. This is not about pretending everything is fine. This is not about running from the world's darkness. It's about learning how to alchemize it right here, right now. Because underneath every toxic frequency is an unexpressed truth, a buried wound, a forgotten piece of shadow. And when you stop reacting to toxic energy and start receiving it consciously, you gain the ability to shift it not just in yourself, but in the entire space around you. And that's the secret I'm going to give you. It's not about shielding your energy. It's about expanding your field so deeply into the shadow that it becomes a mirror, not a sponge. We've been trained to fear low vibrations. Anger, jealousy, hate, shame. We're told to raise our vibrations, stay positive, think high-frequency thoughts. But that's not mastery. That's avoidance. Real power begins when we stop trying to escape the dark and instead enter it with presence. What if the toxic energy you feel in a room is not here to destroy you, but to teach you? What if it's asking to be seen, felt, witnessed without judgment? That is the first step in this process. You must stop labeling energy as good or bad. All energy is information. And when you label energy as toxic, you give it power over you. But when you recognize it as shadow, something that has been rejected, silenced, or distorted, you reclaim it. You bring it back into the field of awareness. And from that place, it can be transformed. So here's the core method we'll be working with. It's simple but not easy. It requires presence, sovereignty, and radical honesty. Step 1 is sensory awareness. When energy enters your field that feels off, tightness, heaviness, static, pressure, you don't push it away. You don't try to fix it. You witness it. You pause. You breathe into it. You ask, is this mine? And whether it is or not doesn't matter. What matters is that you create space around it. Most people contract when they feel it. You must expand. Your body becomes the temple where the shadow is allowed to exist. This is not passive. This is active witnessing. You are holding the energy in your awareness like a sacred offering. Now here's where the transformation begins. After awareness comes permission. You allow the energy to speak, not in words, but in impulse. Where does it live in your body? What color is it? What texture? What does it want to do? Does it want to scream? Curl up, explode? You don't act it out, but you let it move inside your field. You let it be seen. This is where most people get scared. They think if they let the energy move, it will take over. But the opposite is true. When you allow it to move consciously, it dissolves. Because energy that is seen in full presence cannot remain distorted. It begins to self-correct. It begins to release. And here's the alchemy. When you stay present long enough, something extraordinary happens. The energy reveals its origin. Sometimes it's yours, an old trauma, a suppressed emotion, a belief you inherited. Sometimes it's collective ancestral pain, societal control, generational fear. And sometimes it's archetypal fear of the void, fear of power, fear of death or truth. But when it reveals itself, you reclaim your power. You are no longer reacting to energy. You are reading it. You are guiding it. You are transforming it into what I call shadow vibration, a powerful, grounded frequency that is rooted in truth, not fear. This is what shadow vibration is. It's not low. It's deep. It is the vibration of embodied wisdom, of integrated power, of healed fury. It is not chaotic or manipulative. It is clarifying. It is the vibration that says, I've met my darkness. I don't fear yours. It is the vibration that can walk into a room full of tension and not flinch. Because it doesn't absorb energy, it anchors it. It doesn't resist the dark, it mirrors it into wholeness. This is what true spiritual warriors carry. Not love and light smiles, but shadow coherence. They have become the alchemists of density. And you can too. Let me ask you something so deep it may shake you a little. What if the part of you you've spent your whole life trying to fix is actually the key to your highest frequency? What if your anxiety is not a flaw, but a radar? What if your anger is not a failure, but a flame that's never been given sacred direction? What if the energy you're most ashamed of is actually the most intelligent part of you, trying to wake you up? The world doesn't need more people pretending to be light. It needs people who've gone into their own darkness and come back with keys. That's the kind of person you're becoming. That's the kind of person who can change not just themselves, but the field around them. Because once you begin transmuting energy this way instantly, consciously, with full presence, you become a living portal. People don't know why they feel better around you, why they feel seen, why they suddenly have clarity. But it's because your field is no longer reactive. It is responsive. It is clear. It is stable. And it is sacred. This is just the beginning. The method is simple, but its applications are infinite. In the next part, I'm going to show you how to use this method in real-life situations. Conflict, social media, relationships, ancestral healing, even spiritual warfare. Yes, I said it because once you understand what shadow vibration really is, you'll understand why you were never meant to be just a healer. You were meant to be a frequency anchor in a world addicted to distortion. You were meant to hold the line.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Now that you understand how to instantly transform toxic energy into shadow vibration, something profound begins to happen. Your inner world stops being a battlefield and starts becoming a portal. Not a metaphorical one, but a literal energetic bridge between distortion and truth. You become the place where energy comes to be seen, to be transmuted, to evolve. This isn't spiritual theory, it's vibrational mechanics. And when you truly embody it, you don't just shift your own life. You begin to shift rooms, relationships, and realities. Without saying a word, without needing to convince anyone of anything, because your frequency becomes undeniable. Let's talk about rooms. You felt it walking into a space and immediately sensing the tension, the gossip, the unspoken fear. Most people either absorb that chaos or armor themselves against it. But neither of those responses are transformation. They are survival. And you were not born for survival. You were born for alchemy. So here's what you do instead. You expand your field the moment you enter. You root into the ground through your breath. You soften your body, not tighten it. You feel the weight of whatever is present, and instead of rejecting it, you accept it fully. You say, energetically, I see you. I'm not afraid of you. You can be here. And like a tuning fork, your non-reactive presence begins to entrain the space. The room starts to adjust to your coherence. This is not fantasy. This is physics. Coherence is contagious. When you embody shadow vibration, deep, grounded presence that holds all frequencies without collapsing under them, you become the dominant tone. The chaos in the room, the anxiety, the unspoken conflict, it begins to organize itself in your presence. Because energy always seeks harmony. And when it feels a frequency that is stable and non-judgmental, it relaxes. It opens. It releases. That's why people feel better just sitting near you. That's why strangers tell you their secrets. You've become a safe zone, not because you're fluffy, but because you've trained yourself to hold shadow without flinching. Now let's move to relationships. This is where things get even more powerful and more intimate. Every relationship is a constant exchange of energy. Projections, wounds, desires, fears. Most people play ping pong with their triggers. One person reacts, the other defends, and the cycle keeps looping. But when you operate from shadow vibration, you stop playing the game. You witness the pattern, you feel the energy behind the words, and you respond from clarity, not from conditioning. This doesn't make you passive, it makes you potent. You're no longer manipulated by emotional fog. You see through it. You can say, I feel that you're hurting. I'm not here to attack or fix you, but I won't abandon myself to make you comfortable either. That kind of clarity breaks loops instantly. It's not cold, it's clean. And when you hold that level of integrity consistently, your relationships evolve or dissolve. Some people will rise into their truth with you. Others will fall away. But either way, you remain centered. This is the power of becoming a living portal. You no longer lose yourself to keep the peace. You become the peace that cannot be disturbed. And from that place, your presence becomes a silent invitation for others to meet themselves more honestly. Now let's zoom out even further to reality itself. When you embody shadow vibration long enough, you start noticing that your timeline bends. Situations that used to repeat finally fall away. People who drained your energy stop showing up. Opportunities that align with your inner truth begin to appear without force. Why? Because you've stopped vibrating at the frequency of distortion. You're no longer broadcasting fear, lack, or shame into the field. You're transmitting clarity. And reality is always responding to your signal. Always. Most people live in chaotic timelines because their energy is incoherent. But when your field becomes clean, grounded, and unshakable, life rearranges to match your vibration. Let me ask you something that might unlock a door in your mind. What if the most powerful thing you could do to change your life isn't to manifest harder, but to become so grounded in your own shadow vibration that distortion can no longer find you? What if alignment isn't something you chase, but something that recognizes you when you finally stop hiding from your own depth? Becoming a living portal doesn't mean you're free from emotion. It means you're free within emotion. You still feel the waves, but you're the ocean now. You still encounter chaos, but you're not trying to control it. You meet it, feel it, let it pass, and then respond with wisdom. That's the magic. That's the method. And anyone can do it, but only if they're brave enough to turn inward, to face the energy they've been avoiding, and to allow it to become fuel instead of a threat. In the next part, I'm going to show you how to take this even deeper. We'll explore how to use shadow vibration to rewrite ancestral trauma, dissolve energetic attachments, and even neutralize spiritual attacks, not through resistance, but through sovereign presence. You'll learn why your pain is not your weakness, but your activation point, and how, by embracing it, you become the frequency the future is waiting for. Let's take a breath together, not a shallow one, a deep, full, soul-level breath. Because where we're going now is sacred ground, not a metaphorical idea, but actual encoded memory, etched into your DNA, your bones, your nervous system. I want you to understand something that most modern spirituality has skipped over. Your pain is not just yours, it is a portal. It is the gateway to everything you came here to remember, reclaim, and rewrite. And shadow vibration, the state of embodied clarity we've been exploring, is the exact frequency that allows you to walk through that portal with power. Now pause for a moment and really feel this. How many times in your life have you said, "Why do I keep repeating this?" Or "Why do I feel this fear so deeply when nothing in my current life explains it?" That's not just trauma, it's ancestral residue. It's the echo of choices, beliefs, and buried truths from those who came before you. Your grandparents, great-grandparents, and beyond. Their unspoken grief, their silenced rage, their swallowed dreams, they didn't disappear. They became vibrational blueprints passed down through blood and energy. And here you are, feeling it all, thinking it's personal, when in reality, it's intergenerational frequency. But here's the miracle. You didn't inherit their wounds to suffer them. You inherited them to transmute them. This is where the deeper alchemy begins. Shadow vibration doesn't just shift energy in the present. It reaches backward through the timelines. When you consciously hold space for your pain not as a problem, but as a messenger, you begin to unravel the tightly woven threads of ancestral distortion. You begin to see what wasn't seen, to feel what was too dangerous to feel, to say what could never be spoken. And as you do, something miraculous happens. The energy begins to dissolve. Not just for you, but for the entire lineage. Shadow vibration becomes a frequency of energetic sovereignty, not because you liberate it. How you do it. Here's how you do it. The next time you're triggered, not annoyed, but deeply emotionally shaken, pause. Drop into your body. Breathe into the center of the sensation. And then ask, is this all mine? Or is this older than me? You'll feel it. A wave of knowing, a sense of vastness. Maybe a memory flashes, or maybe just emotion without story. Don't chase it. Just hold it. You're not trying to fix it. You're witnessing it for the first time in the lineage. That's what makes it heal. That's what transmutes it. You're doing something your ancestors couldn't. You're choosing consciousness over survival, presence over protection. This is the sacred rebellion of the awakened soul. And let's take it further. Because when you begin to operate from this level of shadow vibration, you not only clear the past, you become impossible to hijack energetically. This is what I mean by sovereignty. Most people are walking around entangled, hooked into other people's fear, validation loops, psychic attachments. But when you've met your own shadow so deeply that there's nothing left to hide, manipulate, or prove, you become unhookable. You are no longer broadcasting unconscious signals, so nothing can attach to you without your awareness. You're not protected by walls. You're protected by clarity. And clarity is the highest defense. Now, let me offer you something even more radical. What if the spiritual attacks you felt in your life, those moments of unexplained heaviness, fear, or psychic intrusion, were never meant to harm you, but to initiate you? What if they were tests, not of your light, but of your ability to stay present in the shadow? You see, darkness only has power over what you refuse to own. When you become intimate with your own fear, shame, and rage, you become immune to manipulation. You don't need to fight darkness. You witness it into transformation. That's the essence of shadow vibration. You become the unshakable presence that distortion cannot penetrate. This is not a fantasy. This is the future. A world where spiritual mastery is no longer about escaping pain, but about meeting it with breath and truth. A world where we don't pass trauma down through generations, but transmute it in real time. A world where we stop idolizing light and start honoring the wholeness of being. That's the world you're building with every breath you take in shadow vibration. That's the legacy you're creating, not just for yourself, but for every soul connected to your field. So now, I want to ask you the deepest question of all. What if your greatest pain is not your punishment, but your permission to evolve reality itself? What if, instead of trying to heal it away, you chose to sit with it, breathe with it, invite it to speak, and in doing so, discovered a power you didn't know you had? In the final part, we're going to unlock this power fully. We'll explore how to live as a transmitter of shadow vibration, how to walk through the world as a stabilizing force, a mirror, a master of unseen realms. You'll learn how to embody quiet authority, how to activate others without saying a word, and how to become the frequency the collective is silently praying for. This is the moment where everything comes together, not as a conclusion, but as a beginning. Because once you've walked through the fire of your own pain, faced the ancestral distortions, and reclaimed your shadow as sacred energy, you step into a different kind of presence. Not loud, not performative, but undeniable. This is the frequency of the future, a new kind of authority, not built on dominance or ego, but on energetic coherence. And when you live from this place, you become a living map of truth. You begin to walk through the world as a master of energetic geometry, shaping the unseen with every breath, every step, every choice. There's something breathtaking that happens when you no longer need to prove anything. When you're no longer ruled by your wounds, or pulled by the need to be liked, validated, or seen. You become still, not passive but rooted. Your energy stops leaking. Your presence becomes clean. And when you enter a room, people feel it. They might not know why. They might not be able to name it, but they recognize something ancient in you. Something that reminds them of themselves before they forgot. You don't need to speak. You radiate. This is what I call silent authority. It's what true teachers, healers, and frequency holders carry. Not because they studied the most, but because they integrated the deepest. And this is where shadow vibration becomes more than a healing method, it becomes a way of life. You begin to see the world not as solid, but as energy in motion. Words, thoughts, emotions, everything becomes geometry, frequency, architecture. And you become a sculptor of the unseen. You feel when a conversation is out of alignment. You sense when a room is holding suppressed grief. You know when someone's smile is hiding a scream. But instead of reacting, you anchor. You let your field speak. You allow the energy to rearrange itself in your presence, because you've become so deeply embodied that distortion cannot survive near you. It either transforms or exits. That is the power of coherence. We are moving into a time on this planet where words will matter less, and energy will speak louder than ever. People will be magnetized to frequency, not performance, to resonance, not reputation. And the ones who have done the real inner work, who have faced their darkness and turned it into depth, will be the ones leading silently. Not from stages, not from pedestals, but from presence. From the quiet integrity of those who live what they say, even when no one is watching. So now I ask you, what kind of legacy do you want your energy to leave? Not just your actions, but your vibration. When people sit near you, do they feel safer? Do they feel more seen? Do they remember who they are? That's the real currency of this new era. Not followers, not branding, but field impact. And you don't need to be famous to radiate that. You just need to be true. Unapologetically you, shadow and all. The next time you're in a situation where tension rises, pause, expand your field. Feel the geometry of the moment. Sense where the distortion lives, and instead of reacting, inhabit the silence. Let your breath do the work. Let your nervous system speak the language of peace. That is mastery. That is influence without control. That is how timelines bend. You were never meant to fight the world. You were meant to anchor a new one. You don't need to shout, "I'm awakened." You need only to vibrate in truth, and the world will feel it. You are not here to convince. You are here to remind, through your presence, through your peace, through your ability to hold the entire spectrum of human experience without judgment. You are the architecture of the new earth. You are the vibration that collapses distortion. You are the one they've been waiting for, not out there, but in here. The frequency of the future lives in your body, your breath, your choice to feel instead of flee. And when you choose to embody that fully, you don't just change your life, you change the entire field. Now, go live like it.